This is Kennedy box number 4, and it sits on a riser, so we're going to cover that now. Now it's on a Craftsman cart here, and I'm not going to cover this. There are, including these drawers, there's like 35 drawers or so in this shop, and if the demand is great enough and if this series is successful, I may do those drawers too. But this Kennedy box, not including the riser, is the original one that my dad gave to me in 1960 or 61, and it's had a lot of use and traveled around with me on several different jobs, and still in quite good condition. So let's begin by looking at the top part of it. There aren't a whole lot of things in the top of this box, so I'm just going to set them right here to show them to you. Here we have a brand new Mitsutoyo height gauge that I bought at an auction in '01. Thought that I had to have it, and it's exactly the same as this, and I was waiting for this one to get damaged or worn out or something. That's why I bought it, but it hasn't been touched since. But you never know, someday I may need that. Got several jacks, small jacks. There are no two alike, but those are used sometimes in setups on the milling machine. Much of what's in this box is related to the Bridgeport mill or cutting tools. And there's my tapping head that appears in one of my other videos with a Morse taper. And we got a selection of center drills. I got enough center drills to last 3 lifetimes, but all different sizes. They're brand new, different lengths. And finally, and I'm not sure why this is in here, there's an antique caliper. It's kind of pretty, made of German silver. That's a beauty. You know, I received some criticism in the last videos that we're too crazy about tools or nuts about tools, and that we have the wrong values. And maybe they're right, but it's still a passion of mine. But it's kind of hard to take when people say that, well, you're silly, you like tools so much, you're nuts, you know. Well, I can't help it. Okay, let's get started on these drawers. This drawer is devoted pretty much to taps. I keep taps in other places in the shop too, but I like to keep my smaller taps in here simply because they're easier to find. And you know, I got everything from 1/4 inch here is about the biggest, and all the way down to number 2s and 3s down on this end, and some of the smaller pipe taps here as well. And among the selection of taps, I usually have a plug and a bottoming and a taper tap in each size. And these are all hand taps. Well, there's some machine taps in here, and there's some oddball ones here, extra long and that, and you know, whatever I pick up. But nice selection. They're very easy to find. And then over on this side, a little bit larger ones. So we got the up to 3/8, I believe, and several of the smaller tap wrenches that I like. I've always liked this one. I think I got 2 of those. One some other place. And this little one looks like it might be homemade. Either that or it's so dirty I can't read the maker. And here's a couple of these Starrett tap wrenches. These are beautiful. The proportions are gorgeous on them, and I have that in 2 different sizes. And we have, well, if there's a drill bushing in there for some reason. And these I've shown in another video. These are the spring-loaded tap guides. That one has the cup. These are spring-loaded. So if you got a tap in the drill press like this with the pointed end on it, that can be supported like that to tap straight. And then this one for taps that have center holes in them. These can be used on the lathe also. Those are pretty handy. Get yourself a pair of those. So that's my tap drawer. This is my die drawer. This is probably 10% of my dies, but we got mainly 1-inch dies here in the I call these button dies. I guess that's might be the correct name for them. There's some acorn dies right here. Never have used those. I'm not even sure what kind of holder they belong in. And I have quite a few of these dies too. These are rethreading dies when you see these little circular deals there for cleaning up threads that are damaged. A couple more of those. And with some of these real little dies, those are about 3/4 in diameter or smaller, can also put them in this little die holder and hold them in a chuck or turn this with, well, just about any kind of wrench. And then also in here we have some assorted reamers, and these are tapered reamers here for tapered pins. Occasionally I use tapered drive pins, and you have to have the correct number of reamer for the appropriate pin. That's a number 4. So there's I don't know if that's a complete set, but I got a bunch of them there. There for some reason is a little diamond, really a little one. Okay, and here we got assorted reamers, small sizes, hand reamers, a couple machine reamers. I think the biggest I have here is 3/8. So there's quite a nice selection of reamers there. That's probably about 10% of the reamers I got also are in this drawer. But these drawers are very nice to be able to quickly find things. So it's a good way of organizing. And in the next drawer, this is nothing but reamers, small ones, and some of these are really little and delicate things. Some still in the original tubes. And there are some oddball sizes here too, decimal sizes rather than fractional. Sometimes I'm not even sure. There's a funny looking reamer, I don't even know what that is. I have a lot of things that I just stick in drawers and I'm not sure what they are, but there they are. A lot of small reamers there. Nice selection. Moving over to the other side, in this drawer I have a lot of center drills. I mean a lot of them. Everything from these big fat things. I'm not sure what number they are. That's a number M2. That doesn't sound right. Well, anyway, those are big ones. All the way down to the real little ones. Very delicate. And there's a few in here that are carbide, but most of them are high-speed steel. There's a nice countersink, a Ford. You know, Ford and Severance are very high quality countersinks. Here we got some ammo for my M1 carbine, 30 caliber, live rounds too. And edge finders. Several different kinds. Here's one that's the double end. You've seen me use these in videos. I like the small end. And here's another one that has the pointed end on it. And the small end on the other end. And wigglers. I have wigglers in several different spots. There's a wiggler. I'm not sure if I've used those in videos or not, but you need to have wigglers, and that is a Watterson is the brand. Never heard of it until I looked at that. And a couple morphodite type drills here. I'm not sure what these are called. Over on the other side we got more thermometers. Pioneer seed, that's popular here in Illinois. Seed corn. Some more thermometers. Kodak. Oh boy, they're bankrupt now. My buddy that used to teach printing always called Kodak the Yellow God. And here we got rotary files. That's a carbide one. You can always tell when something's carbide because it's a slightly different color and is noticeably heavier. I am not crazy about rotary files. I just haven't had a lot of luck or a lot of use for them in my career, so, but I got them just in case. And there's a carbide drill. Wow, was that heavy? These are expensive too, and you can't sharpen them, or I can't sharpen them. There's another carbide something. And of course, transfer screws in all sizes. There's 3/8, 16. Hyman to me are the best. Those are shown in some of my other videos. So if you do not have Hyman transfer screws, be sure and look at the video and see what they are and how they're used, and then I think you too will have to own several sets of these transfer screws. Not to be confused with transfer punches, but in some ways they do the same thing. So there's quite a nice assortment of those. And that's about it for that drawer. I like these deep drawers. Again, center drills. Lots of them. There's some packages of brand new ones. Those are complete sets. Everything from that real small one to the larger one. I don't know why that I have 3 sets of those. Well, that's all one size. I don't consider that these to be resharpenable. I just throw them out. And we got all kinds of little booklets here. We got the trig tables. Why I have 3 of those, I don't know. Different ages. You know, I got criticized in one of my sign bar videos. Somebody said, you don't need those. Throw those away. All you got to do is use your calculator. It's got all the trig functions, which I guess I didn't even think along that line, and possibly I should throw these out now and listen to that man's advice. Chicago Gear Works. Any kind of gear you can think of, or power transmission. Boston Gear was another one, very similar. Another Starrett chart. There's the ever-present Caterpillar pocket reference that was given to me when I was every new employee when I worked for a short while at Caterpillar. Pretty complicated information in there. I haven't ever gone through the whole thing. It's too much, really. And that's about it on that drawer. This is my file drawer. One of my file drawers. I have a lot more files than this. These are just some of the smaller ones. In the back here, just some standard mill files, and this is a thread restoring file, a 60-degree file, shown in one of my other videos, and I never have used it because when you think about it, any 3-corner file will do the same thing. Not like this is really necessary. And rotary file. Some nice mill files there. Most of these are used. Here's a piece of perfect circle plastic gauge. I think some of you gearheads know what this is. I used to use that when I worked on small engines. I'm not going to get into that, but that's an interesting product if you don't know what it is. Look it up on the internet. And in the front part here, we've got a lot of small files. A lot. Including a lot of the little needle files, or jeweler's files, or Swiss files sometimes they're called, and some oddball things here that are, I guess you'd call them rifflers. Almost looks like a dental tool, which makes me shiver. There's some more rifflers. Some jeweler's blades down there. I actually haven't looked in this drawer in years. Wow, I do have a lot of files. There's a shop-made file handle. Wow, those are a lot of files. And I plan on doing a video on files, so we'll go through some of these again in more detail on the different shapes and styles and types of files and how to use them in an upcoming video. Next drawer. Few goodies in here. A lot of repetition though. There's a set of trammel points made by General. Nicely made though. And those fit on a wooden beam. I think you all know what trammel points are, and here's the fine adjustment for that. Repeating General made some real nice tools. There are some more files, including a couple rifflers. You know, I particularly like Nicholson files, and I've always been intrigued by that label. I thought they were the best. I think they still are in business. And here's a couple pouches of needle files made across the pond. Not the best, but this is a little larger pattern than the other ones. Quite useful in model making and small work. Still got the original keys that my dad gave me. Yeah, another tap wrench. I have hundreds of them. This is a Greenfield. I guess that's why I bought it at a tool show. I like the Greenfield products. There is a I don't know if that you can hear that or not. There's a tuning fork. For some reason I made that while I was in high school. Don't know what frequency it is. I didn't know anything about frequencies then, and I guess I don't know much about it now. These are little hones of various kinds and shapes. Triangular and round. Never have used them. They came in an auction box. Coarse and fine. Hones or stones, whatever you want to call them. Some more countersinks. There's a Severance brand. I like the Uniflute. They don't seem to chatter much. Extra long one. There's a P38 can opener. You GIs know what that is. Over on this side, got quite a large selection of easy outs. There's a complete set. Hansen, or yeah, Ace Hansen. And in this catch-all box here, we got every size you can think of, and well, there are only about 5 sizes, but some different brands here. These proto square ones work pretty well too. There's all different manufacturers there, and these are just oddballs that were picked up. Not too many of the small ones because people break those off. Once you've broken an easy out off in a hole, you are done. Throw it away. Okay, that completes the top part of the box. Now we'll go to the riser. Now we're down into the riser box. Milling machine assorted paraphernalia. Starting on this side, we got, well, that's a replaceable jaw on one of my big milling machine vices, you know, that has V-ways in it. They came with 2 different sets. I think it's a Wilton vise. There's a nice little angle plate. An assortment of thin parallels to use on the milling machine. Bought from a popular supplier fairly recently. They do not appear to be very high quality at all, but they were cheap. I presented this in one of my other videos as a what is it? And quite a few men knew what it was. It kind of surprised me because it is an obscure type of tap, specialized. Again, I'm not going to tell you what it is. These, I believe, are shop made. We got a 45 degree hardened, oh, I'm not sure what they called it, but for any kind of layout work or holding in the vise. There's a couple antique wrenches that are in there for some reason. I always had a fascination with some of these old wrenches. Little monkey wrench is what it is. Back here is a set of taper gauges. And I've only bought these fairly recently too, but these are real nice. Anywhere from 1 degree up to 5 degrees, and then that's a 10 degree, 20 degree, 30 degree. taper gauges. These are 1, 2, 3 blocks. I think that most of you know what these are for, just for layout. These are shop made, apparently, probably by an apprentice, Mr. Emerson. There's another kind of strange block, hardened and ground. Never have used it, but it's kind of nicely made. And that's for a turret lathe, a drill holder or a reamer holder. Boyer Schultz made a lot of tool holders for turret lathes and automatic screw machines. That's it for that drawer. Pretty much nothing but parallels in this drawer. This set of wavy parallels has appeared in many of my videos. One of my favorite. The beauty of those, as you put them in the vise, they will squeeze together if need be, so that you can hold very thin pieces, whereas most parallels are much thicker, and you can't hold something thin in the vise with a thick parallel. And there's, I don't know how many different pairs here, and I believe most of these are shop made. These all came from auctions, and I have a lot of it. But if you work on a milling machine very much, and some of you have, you know you just can't have enough parallels. You just can't, and then you still don't have what you need sometimes. There's a little angle block or angle plate. That's kind of cute. It's not ground, it's just milled, so it's probably not super precision, but good enough for most uses. A lot of parallels down here, and then here's a box of parallels, if I can get it out. But they're not all in there. Some of them are over on the machine, but that was a complete set. 1-inchers are the most popular size, and down on this size there's still some more like that. That's kind of pretty looking. It's got a man's name on it, L. Davis. I'm sure he's probably long dead, unfortunately. And then all of this stuff passes from the hands of one man to the next. Now be sure and watch the paper. If you ever see a garage sale that my widow is putting on, you know, you'll probably want to come to that and get some of this stuff like super cheap. Okay, that completes this toolbox tour. We went through 4 different toolboxes. I hope you enjoyed it. It ran quite a bit longer than what I thought it was going to. This is Tubalcain saying so long for now.